What we have in mind at UNDP is really how do we accelerate countries going through their digital transformations? Because there are countries, of course, that are less developed in their digital infrastructure. And so the question is, how can we help them accelerate that, but also making sure that they're including all people, leaving no one behind, and that we're doing it in a responsible way that respects people's rights as we go forward. So it's all about how do we leverage the new technology trends, whether that's artificial intelligence or other things, but to do that in a responsible and an inclusive way.
And looking at those who maybe are digital a little bit behind, what can we do in order to help them accelerate?
Yeah, I think it's about really looking at what are they lacking. And what we see a lot is that there are digital skills and capacities that need to be built in these countries, both in terms of government, policy making, the ability of civil servants to really understand how to make changes and governments to make policies very quickly, but also then how do local innovators get the skills that they need, the resources, the supportive environment so that they can be successful in driving more innovations locally.
And with your experience in innovation accelerators and that kind of thing, what do you see that we can do in order to succeed in that kind of project or program?
Well, we see a lot of opportunity for countries that are further ahead to really help exchange and best practices and sometimes expertise with countries that need some more work. And this isn't always global north to global south. There's lots of learning that can be done in the other direction and between countries in the south. So, for example, we are part of a campaign called 50 in 5, and this is around how do we implement digital public infrastructure in 50 countries over the next 5 years. Now, digital public infrastructure is just a way of integrating your digital transformation at a national level. And we're looking at kind of leading countries in this, which are really a mixture of countries from the north and the south that have done this in effective ways. India is one of those leaders. Estonia is one of those leaders. Bangladesh is one of those leaders. And we're looking at how do we pair them with countries that can take advantage of that approach and take advantage of their learnings and really accelerate their own digital transformation.
Yeah, and you have quite a massive resume in, for example, innovative accelerators and that kind of thing. What do you think it takes to really sort of succeed with that within an organization?
Well, I think, the United Nations, we're large bureaucracies, and some of the work I've done in the past has really been about how do we empower bureaucracies to really drive change and become more innovative. And the only way that you can really do that is to really, in the one hand, do unusual things and do them quietly, but on the other hand, you have to do it with other parts of the organization as well. So it doesn't work to just set up an innovation office that works on its own and dreams up big ideas and then tries to push them in the organization. You have to have new skills, new profiles coming from the outside, but then you have to pair that with people who work in the bureaucracy and work together under their ownership to make it really explode in terms of innovation. Because unless you have both of those things, it's not going to work.
Is that a little bit the same thing, you would say, between the public sector and the private sector working together?
Well, the public sector and private sector, the partnership between the two for digital transformation is extremely important. It cannot be driven by one or the other for sure. So you absolutely have to have that kind of sense of working together where the private sector is going to really drive the kind of cutting edge of innovation, really drive some of the issues around commercial expansion and development of technologies. But the public sector is absolutely crucial to create the enabling environment and also set the rules so that people are placed at the heart of digital transformation, so that no one is left behind, that people's rights are respected, that it's done in a responsible and a safe way when it comes to technology implementation, and an equitable way as well.
And lastly, we are going through quite difficult times. We have climate challenges, we have a lot of ongoing conflicts, we have a financial crisis. How would you say that we could use technology to move faster and try to move out of this?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the digital shift that needs to happen is not necessarily the most exotic technologies. I mean, there is a role for artificial intelligence and cutting edge technology in our work and in what countries are doing. But a lot of this is about getting the basics right, having the right policies in place that protect data privacy and the privacy of individuals and so on, making sure that you've got the right kind of interoperability between your systems, that your data is actually talking to each other. If you get some of those fundamentals right, you can be much more resilient in the face of those challenges that you're talking about. And we saw this during the COVID pandemic. Countries that had a more well-developed digital infrastructure were able to respond more effectively to the pandemic. And so the new sense of resilience at the country level is going to come as a result of digital transformation and getting the fundamentals right.